Greetings adventurers, this is Lorne, your guild advisor, and I'm back with another unit analysis for the new characters from the brand new Dungeon Rogue Town event. I briefly touched on these characters during their skill reveals, but of course I wanted to voice my thoughts on them in detail, and for the most part I find them pretty impressive. This event's banners are divided into two different banners, one featuring Belle as the Adventurer and Lunar as the assist, while the other is Omid as the Adventurer and Osphey as the assist. These are the typical 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th guarantee banners that we are accustomed to, and it should be easier to get multiple bonds for one character because there's only 2 characters per banner, as opposed to the previous secret game event which had 3 characters per banner. When rolling on the banners, you can actually get Omid on the Rogue banner, but only Belle and Lunar will show up on the guarantees. In a similar way, you can get Belle from the Thief banner, but not from the guarantees. But without further ado, let's get started with the breakdown. First off is Outlaw Rabbit Belle. As expected, his magic stat is incredibly high, with him being a magic attacker at a maximum of 1869 magic at +5 max hero ascension. His special arts is Argonaut Rogue Thunder, a single target Ultra Thunder magic attack with a temporary magic boost, which reduces the magic resistance of the enemy by 50% for one turn. This is undoubtedly the special arts you want to be using in single target encounters when you need to dish out some major magic damage. Not only does this move hit hard by itself, but the magic resist debuff also benefits other magic users in your party. Even though the debuff only lasts one turn, ending on the turn it's used, you can extend its duration by using a skill that extends debuffs, like Argonaut Spiral Strike or Roaring Gale Reused Oppression. However, you're not likely to use these characters in the same party as Belle, since they are neither magic nor thunder based characters, but keep an eye out for future single target magic units that could release with such a skill. His first combat skill is Spark Starter, a single target mid-thunder magic attack that buffs his magic and thunder damage by 50% for 4 turns. Naturally, this is a move you want to use right away, as it'll improve Belle's damage drastically from 2 different buffs. His second skill is Shocking Paralyze, a single target high thunder magic attack which removes both strength and magic buffs from your opponent, excluding assist skills. This second skill gives Outlaw Rabbit Belle incredible utility, as it'll do well in both Bavaria and Ravis Record Busters, which use magic and strength buffs respectively. One of the recent Familiar Rush bosses used both buffs, so this Belle will definitely shine in cases where both removals are needed, as you can take care of both of them with one move. And poor Lena, she has got a unit and the Belle that comes out after her pretty much outclasses her in every way. Belle's third skill is Thunder Fulmination, a super thunder magic attack with a high penetration rate that also reduces the magic and thunder resistance of the enemy by 30% for 4 turns. Super base power without a temporary boost doesn't hit quite as hard as a high base power attack with one, but this is made up by the fact that Belle has a high penetration rate which ignores half the enemy's defense if it is successful, and also his crazy double debuffs of -30% magic and thunder resistance. His notable passives include his counters and normal attacks adding a thunder element, 35% water resistance, and a giant killer ability, which causes him to deal extra damage to giant type enemies. Belle definitely shines in scenarios where you need magic attackers, as he can debuff magic resistance to complement them, even if they're not thunder element. He's definitely a character meant for single target encounters, and extremely helpful when it comes to removing strength or magic buffs. Not to mention, he'll hit pretty hard between his own buffs and debuffs he applies to the enemy. Naturally, he'll work well with cute elf Vilvis, since she can take advantage of the magic resist debuff applied from Belle, and she'll actually help him because of her thunder resist debuff being 40%. The one knock on Vilvis is that she can't be hero ascended and she has no self buffs. If you just need strong single target magic attackers in general to work with Belle, Regina Reveria will pair nicely due to Belle's magic resistance debuff, along with Reveria's single target damage debuff, increasing single target damage done to the enemy by 20%. Useful assists include Halloween Reveria or even Pajama Goddess Hestia for the thunder resistance debuffs, Wedding Wish Hestia for a magic and crit rate buff, and both Demeter's or Banquet Attire Hermes for magic resistance debuffs. If you need a strong single target magic attacker that can also remove strength and magic buffs from the enemy, look no further than Outlaw Rabbit Belle. The other banner adventurer is Temporary Healer Omid. She also boasts a pretty high magic stat for a balanced character, and her agility is also very high, often making her the first of your magic type characters to go in battle. Her special arts is Purifying Storm, an AoE Ultra Wind magic attack with a temporary magic boost that also reduces the magic and wind resistance of your enemies by 35% for one turn. Normally, I say to save special arts charges for true attacking units rather than balanced ones, but if you're in an AoE situation, like a difficult AoE encounter, such as the Familiar Rush stage, it may be preferable to lead with Amid special arts if you're packing a magic team, and even better if there's a wind magic character like Fina in it to take advantage of both resistance debuffs. Fina does debuff wind resistance by herself, but Amid special arts has a stronger debuff plus a magic resistance debuff. Her first combat skill is Sibling Growth, a single target, slow high wind magic attack that also removes curses and ailments from your party. Typically, you use this move in a single target encounter if you don't need to use the other two skills, or if your party members have a curse or ailment on them. Some curses like Null Guard and Null Critical can be detrimental to your party's performance in a game mode like Record Buster, so take advantage of this skill to remove those curses as soon as possible. Normally, you're able to prepare for ailments with Assist or Glorious Anklets, but again, this skill will be useful for removing them while also being able to put in some damage. The slow modifier on this move ensures it goes last during the turn, so you can actually plan to use this move to take off curses or ailments right away if you know the turns that the enemy applies them. Her second skill is Vivify, giving your allies a 30% HP regen buff and a physical and magic resistance buff of 30% for 3 turns. One interesting thing about this Amid is that she has no traditional healing move, which heals when the skill is used. The HP regen will recover 30% of your unit's maximum HP at the end of the turn. The lack of a traditional heal might be a turn-off for newer players that are starting to limit break their characters to increase their defense stat, but the physical and magic resist buff help cover both sides of the combat spectrum, significantly reducing your damage intake and couples well with her next skill. Her third skill is Torpor Wind, an AoE fast, low wind magic attack that reduces the strength, magic, and agility of your enemies by 30% for 2 turns. This skill is pretty much the wind magic version of the Jolt skill that the very popular Krozo uses. Krozo is one of the most popular units to use in war games because of how powerful those debuffs are. Being able to open up the battle and instantly reduce your opponent's damaging ability as well as their speed gives you an incredible advantage in war games. The fast modifier on the skill makes the move go first as long as you have higher agility than any other adventurers also using a fast move. If your move does land first, you weaken your opponent's offense, and the agility debuff also makes it very likely that the rest of your party will go before your opponent's units do, with the exception of fast moves of course. Amid actually has a higher agility than Krozo when compared at similar limit breaks and hero ascensions until they both tie at 10-13 agility at plus 5 limit break and max hero ascension. So, in a scenario where you have a Krozo and Amid at their highest agility possible, without counting CP levels, equipment, and assist, the game will pretty much do a coin flip to decide who goes first. For notable passives, Amid has the Encouragement ability, making her heal the lowest health ally in your party instead of attack when she counters. If your Amid is packing a lot of magic, this will heal for quite a lot, and she's paired with Fina, who also has this counter healing ability. Your party is going to be very difficult to kill between the two of them, and Amid's defensive buffs and debuffs. She has an additional 30% damage reduction upon guarding, 35% earth resistance, and an ailment resistance of 30%. If you have a war game magic team, especially one that uses fast moves like Fina and Elf's Honor Lafia, Amid will do wonders for your party. There's even viability in running Amid in physical teams if you don't have Krozo or want to take advantage of her second skill's physical and magic resistance buff and HP regen. Plus, that counter heal is great. She's definitely not a traditional healer, so she may be difficult to use for Record Buster without the aid of an assist like Sion Naza, which provides additional HP regen and also boosts your overall healing and counter capability. All in all, she's great for war games and will be a bit tricky to use in something like Record Buster, but overall, she'll be great for AoE situations and any encounters where you need to get rid of curses or ailments. Moving on to the assist characters. First up is Dungeon Waitress Lunar. For her stats, she has rather average to mediocre strength and magic, but a good amount of dexterity, which affects your critical, penetration, and counter rates. Her assist skill is Drinks of Arario. At level 60, you have a 35% chance to stun enemies upon her entrance in battle. This effect occurs 2 times upon entry. At maximum break, that chance to stun is increased to 45%. As I said in my initial video, Lunar is a very interesting assist. Some of you may be familiar with assists like Titan Eren or Pajama Goddess Hestia, which have a chance to stun or sleep your enemies the turn they enter the battle. Lunar works in a similar way, except she gives you 2 chances rather than 1. When she enters the battle, the first 45% chance to stun activates, and it'll stun a number of enemies depending on how lucky you are. After that initial chance is done, it will activate one more time. If you didn't get the stun on the first chance, you might on the second. Do note that the stun won't stack, so it won't last longer than that one turn, but stunning your opponent in war games, especially on the first turn, is very deadly, especially if a character like Krozo or the new Ami gets stunned, as their debuffs usually decide the course of the battle. Another advantage of this activating twice is that it'll burn through some of the ailment nullifications found in the commonly used assist, Ceremonial Flame Hestia, and both versions of Ariadne. Even so, I myself am not a fan of RNG based characters, but Catty Chloe shows it can certainly work. Now, it is difficult to recommend using Lunar unless you already have a lot of ailment inducing assists and plan to use them on your wargame team. Some of these include God of Wine Dionysus for poison, which burns through ailment nullifications, Summer Goddess Hestia for slow, and Pajama Goddess Hestia for sleep. These are normally used with adventurers that inflict ailments, such as the New Year's Gareth for taunt, New Year's Chigusa for seal, and Moonlight Oath Bell for stun. The idea is to hamper your opponents with ailments so they can't make any moves. I can't say I recommend trying to build this if you don't already have a lot of the units and don't want to spend too much iris or even actual money, as most of these units will only be useful for war games, and the performance won't be able to carry over into other game modes like Record Buster and Traditional Quest, as most bosses aren't affected by ailments. However, you'll have a pretty big advantage against any teams that aren't running assists like Ceremonial Flame Hestia or Ariadne. Some folks might even opt to start running stun resistance anklets to counter Lunar depending on how popular she is. We'll just have to see. Lunar is great if you're building an ailment team, but if you're trying to optimize your iris spending so you can use units for multiple game modes, aiming for Lunar may not be for you. The last unit is Lawful Judge Osfi. Her strength, magic, and defense are well above average, but not exceptional. Her agility is also rather low, so don't equip her to a unit you want going first. Her assist skill is Secrets of Trading, which increases the strength, magic, agility, and dexterity of your party by 8%, while also providing 75% stun resistance at level 60. At max limit break, this changes to a 10% strength, magic, agility, and dexterity buff, and stun resistance will be 100%. No doubt that stun resistance component was designed with this new Lunar in mind. Have Osfi in the party, and you don't even worry about stuns messing up your day. As you can tell, Osfi is a very versatile assist, being able to help both magic and strength-based parties or even a hybrid team. The most eye-catching buff on Osfi though is the agility one. Players that don't have Sacred Fire Hestia, who sports the same agility buff, now have a more accessible agility boosting assist. No doubt, she'll be a very good pickup for newer players. As I've said before, at the moment, war games is very steered towards beating your opponents in agility, so your characters get to move first. Osfi is able to get you an edge on your opponent if they're not going all out on agility themselves. If you're already running assists like Sacred Flame Hestia, Bride Hestia, and Apollo or Artemis, it's hard to recommend Osfi, as Sacred Flame Hestia covers the agility, while also causing your enemies to take more AoE damage, and Apollo or Artemis covers the strength side, and Bride Hestia covers the magic buff, plus gives some critical rate. And those assists have a better buff than Osfi, but that's because Osfi has so many different buffs. So whether or not you're gunning for Osfi definitely depends on the assist you already have and what assist layout you're planning for your team. But she's definitely an assist worth keeping an eye on because she's so versatile and able to work with pretty much any team. And that wraps up my thoughts on the 4 Gacha banner characters for the new Dungeon Rogue Town event. I'm definitely interested in seeing how Lunar and Ami change up the dynamic of war games, but that'll have to wait for next week as we're on Record Buster right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the new event story and I wish you luck on your polls. If you found this video helpful and would like to see more DanMachi content, please subscribe to my channel and also follow me on Twitter and join my Discord to stay updated. As always, continue enjoying your time venturing Aurario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, your guild advisor, signing out.